The alarm hit before I even reached the door. Red light, sharp horn. The kind of sound that means something has gone very wrong, and there is no time to ask questions. I ran toward Bay 7 with my heart pounding in my ears. Crew members pressed themselves against the walls to get out of my way. Nobody runs toward Bay 7. Everyone runs away from it. Inside the containment room, a massive creature was slamming its body against an energy barrier. Sparks jumped from the metal frame. 3 handlers stood outside the field with long metal prods, shouting orders that the creature clearly did not understand and did not care about. Its scales were dark green, almost black, and a row of stiff spikes ran down its back like a crown of blades. It had 6 legs, each one ending in claws long enough to tear through solid steel, and its eyes, too many of them, spread across its skull in a wide band, moved fast, tracking every single person in the room. A woman named Grace stood near the control panel, her face pale under the flashing red light. She was the station director, and right now she looked like someone watching her whole career fall apart in real time. "Get back!" she shouted at me. This thing already put 2 handlers in the medical bay. I should have listened. I did not. The creature slammed into the barrier again, and this time, the barrier flickered. For 1 full second, it went dark. Everyone in the room froze. The creature did not. It surged forward through the gap before the field could recharge, and every alarm on the station screamed at once. Handlers dove out of the way. One of them, a young man named Noah, tripped over a fallen prod and landed hard on the floor, right in the creature's path. I did not think. I just moved. I grabbed Noah by the collar and pulled him sideways with everything I had. We hit the ground together as 6 massive legs thundered past us, close enough that I felt the wind of it against my face. The creature did not stop for us. It was heading for the open door, and beyond that door was the main corridor, packed with people who had no idea what was coming. Grace slammed her hand on an emergency switch. A second barrier dropped down from the ceiling, sealing the corridor exit just before the creature reached it. It hit the new barrier at full speed, and the whole station shook from the impact. Metal groaned. Lights flickered. For a moment, I thought the barrier would break too. It held, barely. The creature let out a sound that was not quite a roar. It was something rougher, something closer to pain than anger. It backed away from the barrier, breathing hard, its spiked back scraping against the far wall as it pressed itself into the corner of the room. Noah scrambled to his feet beside me, shaking. "That thing should be sedated. Why is it not sedated?" "We tried 3 times, Grace said, her voice tight. "The sedative darts barely slow it down. Whatever this species is, it is not on any registry we have." I looked at the creature again. It was pressed into the corner, all 6 eyes locked on the room, but it was not attacking anymore. It was watching, waiting, and underneath the fear in its posture, I saw something else. Exhaustion. Real, bone-deep exhaustion, like it had been fighting for days without a single moment of rest. "How long has it been like this?" I asked. 3 days, Grace said. "Since the salvage crew pulled it off a wrecked transport ship. It has not eaten. It has not slept. If this keeps up, it will kill itself out of pure stress before we even figure out what to do with it." A second alarm cut through the room, sharper this time. Someone shouted that the barrier generator was overheating from the impact. If it failed now, there would be nothing between that creature and the rest of the station. "We need another option," Grace said, mostly to herself. "Fast." I looked at the creature one more time. Every instinct in my body told me to run, to get as far from that room as possible. But something else, something quieter, told me to stay. "Let me try something," I said. Grace turned to me like I had lost my mind. "Try what exactly?" "I do not know yet," I admitted. "But nothing else is working, and that barrier is not going to hold much longer." She hesitated for 1 long second, then nodded, sharp and fast. "You have 2 minutes before I pull you out myself." I stepped closer to the edge of the working barrier, close enough that the creature's eyes all turned toward me at once. My legs felt heavy, my hands were shaking, but I kept walking, slow, steady steps, until I was right at the edge of the field. I did not raise my hands. I did not make any sudden movements. I just stood there, and then, Because the silence felt too loud, I started to talk. I told it that I understood being trapped somewhere unfamiliar, surrounded by people who only wanted to control it, poke it, sedate it, lock it away. I told it that none of that was fair, and none of it was working either, so maybe it was time to try something different. My voice was not calm at first. It shook just as much as my hands did, but I kept talking anyway, low and steady, the words meaning less than the sound of them. The creature's breathing began to slow. Behind me, I heard Noah whisper something to Grace, but I did not turn around. I kept my eyes on the creature, on those many watching eyes, and I kept talking. About the noise in my quarters that nobody could ever explain. About the food in the mess hall that always tasted slightly wrong. About anything, everything, nothing that mattered, said in a voice that did not threaten and did not stop. The spikes along its back began to lower. 1 minute passed. Then another. Grace did not pull me back. Nobody moved. The creature took one slow step forward, then another, until it was standing right at the edge of the barrier, close enough that if the field dropped, it could reach me in a single stride. Every trainer in the room raised their prods again, ready to act. "Hold," Grace said sharply. "Nobody move." The creature lowered its massive head, all 6 eyes fixed on mine, and let out a long, slow breath that stirred the hair on my forehead even through the field. Then, impossibly, it folded its legs beneath itself and sank down to the floor, right there at the edge of the barrier, as close to me as it could physically get. The room stayed frozen for a long moment. Nobody spoke. Nobody breathed too loudly. "Drop the field," I said quietly. "Absolutely not," Grace snapped. "It is not attacking anymore. Look at it." She looked. The creature's breathing had slowed to something close to normal. Its spikes lay flat against its back. It was watching me the way a tired animal watches the only safe thing in a room full of danger. Grace stared at the readings on her control panel, then back at me, then back at the readings again. Her jaw tightened. "If this goes wrong, it is on both of us." "It already went wrong 3 times your way," I said. "Let me try mine." She swore under her breath and tapped the panel. The barrier hummed once and dropped. For one terrifying second, nothing separated me from 3 tons of claws and teeth. Then the creature moved, slow and careful, and pressed its massive head against my chest. The impact nearly knocked me off my feet, but I planted myself and wrapped my arms around as much of it as I could reach, which was not much, and felt a deep, rolling sound vibrate through its body and straight into mine. Not a growl, something closer to a purr, if a purr could shake the floor. It curled its long body around my legs, tucked its 6 limbs beneath itself, and closed every single one of its eyes. Within seconds, it was asleep. Nobody in that room said a word for a long time. The handlers lowered their prods slowly, like they were afraid the sound of metal might wake it. Noah stood with his mouth slightly open. Grace pressed a hand against her forehead and let out a breath that sounded like she had been holding it for 3 days straight, not just the last 2 minutes. "I have run this station for 6 years," she finally said. "I have seen a lot of strange things. I have never seen that." I could not move much with 3 tons of sleeping creature wrapped around my legs, so I just stood there, arm resting across its spiked back, feeling its slow, steady breathing for the first time since it arrived. "What did you even do?" Noah asked, voice still shaking slightly from adrenaline. "Nothing, really," I said. "I just stopped trying to control it. Everyone else in this room had a job to do to it. Sedate it, trap it, force it into a cage. I just stood there and let it decide on its own that I was not a threat." Grace studied me for a long moment, the kind of look people give when they are trying to decide if you are brave or simply foolish. Maybe both. "It has imprinted on you," she said finally, "which means, as of right now, it is your responsibility." I looked down at the sleeping creature, spikes flat, breathing slow, curled against me like the last 3 days of pure chaos had never happened. "I think I can live with that," I said. Behind us, the barrier generator finally powered down to a safe level. The alarms fell silent one by one, and for the first time since the horn had sounded, Bay 7 was completely, perfectly quiet.